Here's a quote. "I know that smiling doesn't make you who you are, but it sure does affect how people react to you." That's from Hannah, who grew up with no dental care and endured years of physical and emotional pain as a result of her decaying teeth. The Interfaith Dental Clinic of Rutherford County made it possible for her to smile for the first time. Hannah's story of despair turned to hope was made possible because of the vision and passion of Dr. Roy Thompson. In 2008, Dr. Thompson recognized that Interfaith Dental Clinic, which had only one clinic in Nashville, served 8 counties and was operating at capacity. After learning that many patients drove to Nashville from Rutherford County, where he lives, Dr. Thompson began conversations with key stakeholders about opening a Murfreesboro clinic. As the idea gained momentum, Dr. Thompson recruited and led an advisory board, chaired a $1.3 million capital campaign, and assembled a construction team, all while running his own full-time dental practice. Last February, Dr. Thompson's dream became reality when the Interfaith Dental Clinic of Rutherford County opened. In its first year, the site completed 2,300 patient visits. Please join me in recognizing Dr. Roy Thompson. He is making it possible for hundreds of Rutherford County residents to smile.
What amazing, amazing stories, guys. One more round of applause for our nominees. Much like these innovators, First Tennessee encourages individuals to take action and to bring about positive change in their communities. First Tennessee is pleased to present the 2013 Volunteer Innovator Award. Envelope, please. This year's award recipient is Dr. Roy Thompson.
Well, thank you. I was talking to the family of Mary Catherine Strobel recently at a reception and heard what an inspiring person she was and is still. And I know we all share something in common today with her and with each other. Sometimes during this luncheon, we've shared a smile. That's something that can connect people, it touches people's hearts, and it can restore your spirit. At the Interfaith Dental Clinic, what we do every day is restore smiles. We take patients on a journey to good health, but more importantly, we teach them how proper nutrition, avoiding the sugary drinks and snacks, good brushing habits, twice a day times 2 minutes, daily flossing, and visiting your dentist regularly can lead to lower dental fees and a lifetime of good health. So our patients are low-income, uninsured individuals, and they're the ones that struggle to access the healthcare system today. So every day at Dental Interfaith, we see firsthand how a restored smile can improve someone's self-esteem, encourage them maybe to seek out a new job or a promotion, a new relationship, and we know that a smile can truly change your life. So you see how it's very easy to be real passionate about your charity when it's a mission is something you firmly believe in. So I'll leave you with this. It's easy to do this also when you have a wonderful executive director. So I'm going to get Rhonda Switzer, our executive, to stand up and wave. She's back there somewhere. And thank you, Rhonda. And today, I thank the Strobel family, and I encourage each of you to keep volunteering and keep smiling. Thank you.
Ben Rosenberg has an uncommon maturity, an impressive understanding of hospice, and an inspiring attentiveness to the needs of the dying. As an alive hospice volunteer, Ben gives his time and presence to benefit terminally ill patients. Recently, Ben formed a club, the Dream Catchers Foundation, to grant special wishes to these even more special patients. The first wish Ben and the club fulfilled was for Mr. Raymond Hollers. Mr. Hollers played the guitar since the age of 12, but in his later years, he found his prize guitar too heavy to lift. Within days, Ben and his fellow club members surprised him with a new, lighter guitar. Just like that, music was restored to his life. "I played it as soon as I got it," Mr. Hollers said. "I just love music." Mr. Hollers even asked Ben to sign the guitar, which he kept close until his death in November. No one should have to face the end of life alone, and volunteers like Ben give a gift many of us take for granted while we're healthy: the joy of companionship. Please join me in acknowledging Ben's compassionate care for terminally ill patients.
Caroline and Iris and Ben, each one of you have done amazing work to make Middle Tennessee a healthier and happier community. Baptist Healing Trust wants to commend you for that, but also to thank you for the example and model that you are to each of us. Thank you. Baptist Healing Trust is pleased to present the 2013 Youth Volunteer Award to Ben Rosenberg.
I would like to thank Alive Hospice for allowing me to do all my volunteer work with them. I would also like to thank Renee Wisby and Cheryl Webster for being a kind face as I began to volunteer. I'd also like to thank my family for all the love and support they've given me throughout the years. I'd also like to thank Linda Dushin and Patrick Carr for being inspirations to me. I'm very honored to be here in front of all these amazing volunteers to receive this award. And I am proud to carry on the Mary Catherine Strobel legacy. Thank you.
For many who live with mental illness, there is a lifelong struggle filled with exhilarating peaks and devastating valleys. For every step forward, there can be several steps backward. The experience can be overwhelming. As a survivor of schizoaffective disorder who has been hospitalized 24 times in 25 years, Susan Hatfield has lived these challenges. Today, she provides hope for many. For nearly 6 years, Susan has served as a Mental Health America of Middle Tennessee board member, gifting thousands of volunteer hours to help the agency achieve its mission. No task is too big or too small for her. She does everything from entering data gleaned from children's presentations on topics like bullying to registering racers for the agency's signature event, Runnin' to Beat the Blues. Perhaps most significantly, Susan is an active member of the Mental Health America of Middle Tennessee Speakers Bureau. Through her presentation, she shares mental health and wellness tips, as well as her own personal success story. Today, Susan is a productive, independent, whole person and a tenacious champion for mental health. Please join me in recognizing her work that erases the stigma of mental illness.
Thanks to each of you for choosing a lifestyle with volunteerism at its core. You are all commended for the amazing and diverse service that you provide. Thank you. C3 Consulting is pleased to present the 2013 Community Impact Volunteer Award to Susan Hatfield.
Good evening. Most all of us have used the words nuts or crazy without malicious intent. But words such as psychotic, hallucinations, suicidal, schizophrenia, these words elicit fear of the unknown. My psychiatric history spans 35 years. I've experienced substantial change both within and without. At this time in my life, in my career, I've been called to help erase the stigma of mental illness through education. Successful treatment is possible, combining hope, persistence, and a supportive environment. New medications are now available. There are now multiple forms of therapy with a diverse array of mental health professionals. The Mental Health America of Middle Tennessee and the Center for Living and Learning have provided a strong forum for me to help to achieve my goals. With humble pride, I am honored to accept the Mary Catherine Strobel Volunteer Award.
Since 2011, Deloitte employees have increased access to higher education for Metro Nashville Public Schools seniors attending McGavock, Antioch, and Overton high schools. This all began with a standalone event. It was the inaugural free application for federal student aid drive. During this event, Deloitte volunteers provided students with individual assistance to help them complete the FAFSA applications. Today, the Deloitte team not only organizes this drive, they also provide financial aid nights at schools, securing some dynamic speakers to educate students about the availability of resources out there for college-bound graduates. Plus, they invite students to job shadow their employees, and they provide students with opportunities also to visit local colleges. Teachers at each of these high schools say that many of their students would not be able to advance into post-secondary education without Deloitte's one-on-one assistance. As a direct result of Deloitte's leadership, Metro Nashville Public Schools has seen an increase in the number of students completing the FAFSA forms, and thanks to Deloitte, the dream of college is now a reality for 614 local students. Please join me in thanking Deloitte for removing barriers and helping deserving students continue their education.
Congratulations to all the Corporate Service Project Award finalists. MDON is the largest clinical, financial, and administrative health information exchange in the U.S. healthcare system, and we are headquartered here in our community. Volunteerism is integral to our culture, and we are honored to recognize Advanced Financial, Deloitte, and Schneider Electric, all like-minded businesses who do their part to increase our community's vibrancy. MDON is pleased to present the 2013 Corporate Service Project Award to Deloitte.
Wow. First of all, we want to thank Brian and Amy and all of our friends at Hands On Nashville for making today possible and for everything you do throughout the year. On behalf of Deloitte, we'd also like to thank the Strobel family. I've had the opportunity over the last 7 or 8 years to personally get to know many of the family members and to learn about the incredible life and incredible service of your mother. So I truly appreciate what an honor this award is. One of our biggest thank you goes out to our school partners, our friends at Antioch, Overton, and McGavock High School, who allow us into their schools, connect us with their students, and help to make this event successful. Our 3 academy coaches are with us if they'd stand up. You folks are the ones that really make this happen, and without your support, our volunteers would just show up to a bunch of empty rooms, so thank you.
So on behalf of Deloitte, we want to thank the 80-plus volunteers who come together to make this drive happen each year. Over the past 3 years, as you've heard, we've impacted over 600 families. That was only possible because of the individual Deloitte and community volunteers who took their time to attend FAFSA training and be on site to provide one-on-one assistance to these families. We are honored to have our efforts recognized with this award. We thank you so very much, and we thank all of you in the room for your efforts around volunteering in the community that you live in. Thank you.
Steve and Deb LaForge are a volunteering force to be reckoned with. For the past 7 years, this husband-wife team has served as dedicated Habitat for Humanity supervisors on site, or SOS. They are senior volunteers who lead others in the construction of Habitat homes. Steve first volunteered with Habitat 20 years ago, and he was hooked. A few years later, he brought Deb to a build site, and she was surprised at how quickly she became immersed in the project. I fell in love with the whole concept. I knew that I wanted to be committed to Habitat, she says. Steve and Deb's commitment shows. Throughout their Habitat service, they've guided 4,200 volunteers in the construction of homes, serving as SOS at nearly every build. Each Saturday and Sunday, they are first to arrive at 6:30 a.m. and the last to leave. It is said that even the smallest act of caring creates ripples that spread to others. If that's true, the LaForge's selfless leadership creates a wake. Please join me in recognizing their work on habitat build sites.
McNeely, Piggott & Fox Public Relations expresses our sincere appreciation to Colleen, Steve and Deb, and Rick for their tireless service to Middle Tennesseans. Thank you so much for your community leadership.
And our winner is Steve and Deb.
Thank you. Such an honor to be here today. Sorry, I have to catch my breath. First of all, I have to say thank you to Habitat. We absolutely always, every day, we just love the homeowners, the staff, and all the volunteers that come out. Deb and I are currently blessed to be working on a Habitat home for Mr. Randall Lewis. You may have seen his story in the local media. 6 years ago, he was homeless and had a substance abuse problem. During that time, I am sure that he received food from many groups like many of you are serving, Nashville Food Project, Salvation Army, and many others. I'm sure he also received shelter from many of you. Then he entered the Odyssey program at Room in the Inn, and he went to work for Goodwill, and he saved his money, and this Sunday, we will hand him his keys to his new home on his 56th birthday. But it isn't just a story of Habitat, it's of another larger organization, and that's all of you. Your amazing work is what made all of this work, because it's all about all the pieces coming together at one time. And that's what makes Hands On Nashville special, because people can go and find ways to volunteer, and your ability to coordinate volunteers and needs and organizations at once is amazing. And finally, to the Strobel family, in 1986, I was relatively new to Nashville. I remember the citywide reaction. There was such a gloom that settled over the city. Everyone that was so upset that we had lost such a beautiful, beautiful person. But wow, just look around this room. You guys are doing amazing work, and I know she would be very proud.
Just want to say thank you and how honored we are and privileged to serve. If we have learned one thing over the years of service, giving means a lot. But in giving, you get way more than you've ever given. And we appreciate this and truly thankful.
For nearly 60 years, Maury Regional Medical Center auxiliary volunteers have selflessly given their time and talents to improve the overall hospital experience and the well-being of their patients. Their volunteers' insights and efforts are coveted, and their contributions that improve the patient and family experience are many and varied. In the past 10 years, they have raised more than $1 million to fund special projects, such as the renovation of the hospital chapel and the modernization and furnishing of a hospice room on the skilled nursing unit. Programmatically, the auxiliary has done everything from assisting community members with a free comparison on the Medicare Part D pharmacy plans, saving 120 patients more than $50,000 in prescription drug costs in 2012 alone, to developing patient-centered care programs like Compassionate Hearts, which provides bedside companionship and reassurance to those in need. Maury Regional Medical Center auxiliary volunteers constantly expand and develop innovative programs to support the hospital and its patients. Please acknowledge their many contributions to this award-winning medical center.
Truly awesome stories. If we could just have another round of applause for all the finalists. Thank you. U.S. Smokeless Tobacco Company, Altria, all of its employees, including myself and my colleagues that are with me here today, are honored to recognize these incredible groups for their civic volunteer service. Unity Build, Backyard Leaders Team, and Maury Regional Medical Center Auxiliary all make the difference in the lives of many. We're pleased to present the 2013 Civic Group Volunteer Award to Maury Regional Medical Center Auxiliary.
This award is especially an honor to our auxiliary this year, since our hospital, as well as our auxiliary, will celebrate its 60th anniversary. Our auxiliary started on the front lawn of our hospital 6 weeks before our hospital opened its doors in December 13th, 1953. And our volunteers were there to serve that day, and we have continued that tradition for 60 years. And now we have 400 volunteers. Knowing this award is in memory of a wonderful, wonderful work Mary Catherine Strobel gave to is very humbling. To have our auxiliary name associated with Mrs. Strobel is truly an honor, and I graciously accept this award on behalf of all of our volunteers. Thank you.
It is my honor to now ask Charles Strobel to join me to share a special story about Mary Catherine Strobel and to honor her legacy of service and love. Charles.
Good to see you.
Thank you, Rory. Ever since you've come to Nashville, you've been a part of this awards banquet, and I know you must have dozens of opportunities to do things like this, but that you honor us by doing it for Hands On Nashville. We appreciate it so much. A hand for Roy. And I want to thank all of you for coming on behalf of the Strobel family. This is a very special day for us. We never would have imagined it, and yet it happens, and this is the 27th year. And I especially want to thank all of our sponsors who support these awards in my mother's name. We know of no finer tribute that can be paid her than to have her name associated with awards that recognize a person's free and voluntary service to others. Especially do we need to thank Hands On Nashville, for it is the leading volunteer organization in this community. They're not asking me to say this, but if you ever have any spare change or have any needs to support them, they'll be happy to receive all kinds of contributions. And our mother would be proud to be associated with the Hands On Nashville, a volunteer organization, because it encourages volunteerism. This luncheon embodies that spirit of giving, the highest ideals of human living. And we're delighted that all the volunteers, both those nominated and those that are the finalists, are being recognized today, because in our minds and in her mind, everybody is a winner. This is our 27th year, as I said, and each year I try to describe a certain part of her personality, because there were so many aspects to her personality that was involved in her spirit of giving. One, of course, was her need to teach that to us. It was her way of saying that children are never too young to learn about giving. And so she tried to do that with us, to teach us about the spirit of giving, and also to expose us to those kinds of problems that she was facing. Frequently, if not typically, at least once or twice a week, she would visit a nursing home or a hospital or a funeral home or a shut-in, and as she would say, to give a little cheer, she'd take along a gift, and sometimes it was her famous banana bread. Well, Jerry and I when we became old enough to drive, of course, it was more convenient for her because we could drive her to these things. And of course, we were always busy ourselves. We were either playing ball or watching television or taking a nap, and yet she would insist on us trying to help her out. And typically, here's how the conversation would go. Let's say we were playing ball, and we'd hear this voice as she came outside. "Charles, I need you to take me to the funeral home. Ms. Moore died." "Oh, Mom, we're playing ball. Can't that wait?" She said, No. You got to do this now because, she was good to us when your dad died." "Oh, Mom, it'll take long." And she said, "No, I'll give you my word. I'll just stay a minute. I'll sign the register and we can come back." "No, you say that every time, but every time." Every time you stay and stay and stay, and by the time we get back, it'll be dark. Now, come on now, you can do it. I need you to do this. And then it would go back and forth like that, and finally, when she would play the ultimate trump card, she'd say, please now, come on, take me to the funeral home. Do it for me. Now, how do you resist that? So anyway, we're driving along to the funeral home, and I want to prepare her for what's going to happen. I say, now, when I get there, I'm going to wait in the car. I'm not going in. She'd say, no, you need to go in. They want to see you. And I said, no, Mom, they don't want to see me. You want them to see me. She said, no. They ask about you all the time. And I said, no, they don't ask about me. You tell them about me. She said, well, I'm so proud of you. I need you to go in with me. Well, of course, I go in, and I'm waiting. And what will only take a minute turns into 10 minutes, and then 20 minutes, and 30 minutes, and then an hour. And as I try to catch her eye so to motion her to come on, let's go home, she's avoiding me. And you can imagine the frustration that I'm feeling. So we finally get in the car to go home. As we're going home, it's completely silent. She knows not to say anything. And of course, I know not to say something that I would have to apologize for later. So we drive home, and as we pull up, before we go in, she says, Charles, I love you, and I'm so proud of you. Thank you for doing that. And I said, and I shrug it off and say, don't worry about it, or whatever. And then the last lesson to teach, she says, I do love you, and I thank you for doing that for me. And aren't you glad you did? I could have screamed, but I didn't. But I knew she was right. I was glad that I did, and I learned that lesson about caring and serving other people. And I think all of you volunteers that we recognize today and honor can understand that she was right, because as you try to address the different struggles and problems that you have to face as you volunteer, I know you say also that you're glad that you did. And all of us here who are honoring you today want to say unanimously in chorus with us that we're glad you did. And so today we salute you. We thank you for all that you have given and congratulate you. And now may God's love go with each of us and remain with us forever. Amen.